Hey guys, we are back, and today I am painting up this tiny little painting here. Hopefully, the camera can focus on that. It's probably gonna wobble in and out there, go woo woo. But anyway, so yeah, painting this ridiculously small, tiny little razor blade here, and I'm gonna roll into this tutorial, kind of tutorial, show you guys the process I used on this, and talk to you guys in a minute. All right, let's go through the process that I use here. I started out with phthalo blue, lightened down with a little bit of white, and I'm just going to go ahead and base in some background so that I can get some of the blue sky in there. Even though I will be covering quite a bit of it up, I'll get a little bit of background, a little play in that peekaboo on the right hand side. Then where my sun's going to be, I put a little bit of yellow in there. Then I will mix some red oxide with my yellow and make that orangish color you will see there. And I will blend out from there. This is going to be done, in a pretty normal fashion, which I go light to dark, and then I come back and highlight with white and, you know, tint my colors. Then I'm going to come in with a dark bluish gray. So I've basically taken that blue and added that color I had, added some black to it to mix up and make a bluish gray. And I'm going to use that for, um, start simulating my cloud-like textures. The paint's a little bit thicker than what it needs to be right now. And I will, as I go along, I will get a little bit better with it. I am using currently, because this question is going to come up, I am using an Olympus Micron MP200C, which I've had for years, have not pulled it out in some time. And I also use my water clips when I started with the blue, and I'm actually going to back and forth with them because later I will change and put purely the white in my Micron, and I will use my clips for my color changes throughout there. So if you've watched any of my other videos, I have some other videos on clouds, and so that's what I was doing, was creating those cloud-like simulations. On the bottom right hand side, I create a gradient with that same bluish gray from the right hand side to the left, and then I'm going to freehand in some mountain ranges, defining that shape. And the reason the right hand side will be lighter than the left hand side, as because of the atmospheric effects, you get that kind of foggy look on things that are in the distance. I'm trying to simulate it as much as possible in this very small area. Once I have a good idea of where I want my front mountains to be, there'll be three actual layers of mountains. Once I have a good idea, then I'll come in there. I mix that color up just a little bit darker, thinned it down just a little bit more, so I get a little bit of that grainy, texture away. Because when you're painting this small, that low of pressure, then obviously you need to thin the paints down pretty good. Since everybody's going to ask, I'll just go ahead and tell you I'm running about 15 to 18 psi roughly at my airbrush, and the paints are a little bit thicker than what they really need to be at this current moment. So I'm going to come in here and define my mountain ranges, and the basic premise is really simple. Things that are closer to the sun side would catch a little bit more light, and then as it hits pieces of rock that stand out, will be dark, create a dark shadow to the left hand side always. And so I'm simulating some of those textures in there. Of course, as I go along, right now I'm just freeing this in as I go along. I will add just a little bit more detail to everything as we go. Important to keep in mind that basically right now I am just kind of defining my shapes and figuring out how I want that mountain range to lay out. It will, like I said, as we go, we will detail things out from there. Going to jump back into the clouds with that darker mix, and remember, none of this is black. Matter of fact, there's nothing in this painting that goes too black, but it is a little bit of a darker gray, and just coming in here and putting tiny little dots and patterns in there into the clouds, just to give myself some depth in the clouds by having, three different colors, then plus my whites, then I'll have more depth. Now I've come in here with a very over reduced white, and I'm coming in here and highlighting out the clouds. And as you'll see, and this is about as good a shot as I can get when I'm talking about that tiny, tiny detail. I'm sorry that my airbrush is almost in the way, but you can see the paint hitting on the left-hand side there. Very difficult to videotape something like this. I apologize for that, guys, but doing the best I can with the gear that I have. And you will see me popping a couple of clouds off over in the blue sky over there. And remember, because I have this thinned down, it's not getting a really opaque coverage, so that'll come out more of a grayish cast instead of a pure white. And we will do a little more with that a little later. Now I've pulled my clips back out because you guys always ask. And now I'm coming in with that orangish tone, and I'm going to put a little bit of oranges into the clouds and around in my sunlight a little bit. Now I'm taking this shield, and notice I'm taking my back to my white, and I'm putting a little mist off of the right hand side of the clouds that of the mountains that are in the foreground, because the mountains that are in the foreground will be have more color and tone. They'll be less gray than the ones in the background. But now I've come in with my white, and I'm going to add little peaks and little valleys. Then I'm going to come in with a stippling effect, and I will kind of follow it in the same pattern in which where my stuff is sticking out, so that I get a little bit of reflections of light, tiny little pieces reflecting off in the foreground. Painting the smalls does not affect my vision whatsoever. I was talking about with that little bit more opaque white. In other words, just reduced it down a little bit less. And I'm using golden high flow acrylics for all of this painting today, for those who want to know. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of that orange sienna color, and we're going to get back into them clouds again, giving them a little bit more color again. It is a push-pull and back and forth because nothing's going to happen in one hit. Then we're going to take just a little bit of a violetish tone and blend in from the outer edges just a little bit. Just color I seem to like, and I kind of like that in my skies. And again, hitting just a little bit of yellow, getting back over that sun, letting that yellow blend out with that earlier orangish mix that we had going on. And then I'm coming back with that really opaque white and putting that sun in there, getting that hot spot that we need. Then I'm going to take and use my torn paper shield and define that edge just a little bit on that mountain range. We still want it a little bit not completely crisp. And then on the left hand side of that, because that is the furthest section of the mountain, you see how I create that little break. It looks like the mountain's sticking up, and then we're going off into these shadows. That color is actually a very dark violet, just so you guys know, so I'm going to just crisp up a couple little things, and then I'm going to freehand in just a couple little clouds in the background of the sky. Wait a minute, don't run off just yet. I want to give a shout out. This was inspired by my friend Stephen Leahy, Leahy. If you guys have not seen his work, you need to check him out. Check him out over on Facebook. He's doing live streams all the time. And if you go to my subscriptions, you should be able to see the subscriptions if you go to my main page of my YouTube, and you should be able to click a link, because I am subscribed to his channel. If not, I will get you guys a link for his YouTube channel as well. And I asked Steve permission before I did this, because he is known for doing this stuff. Anyway, guys, remember, if you want to know something about something, hit me down in the comments below. Ask me. Tell me, would you try something like this? I'm really interested to know. Would you guys try something like this? And I'm also really interested in knowing what things you want to learn. So if you got things you want to know about, leave me links down, or leave me a comment down below, and I'll put it on my list, my board. I have a huge board of things I want to get to tutorial wise. Anyway, that's the little painting for today. That's a wrap. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.